All right, cool. What's up? It's TGW, I don't know, tutorial training, whatever you want to call it, walkthrough number one. This one is on daily support and resistance. I want to say a few things about like sort of context for this. By the way, TGW is Trends Gone Wild. It's founded by me and another trader I know who's my mentor, Abu, and basically it's just a price action trading method. The first thing I want to note is that I just saw a pop-up on my Google that it's National Sandwich Month. I'm so sick of these. Like, everything is a month or a day now. It just makes no sense. Like what is National Sandwich Month? It makes no sense. Anyway, aside from that, so the first thing I want to be clear about is this method is very, very easy and simple as long as you do a few meticulous things. So what I'm going to tell you is that you have to front load some work, and it's going to be great payoff later. For those of you that got initiated who might be saying, what right do you have to tell me anything about trading SPY? I hate to be this guy, but I'm just going to show really quickly. These were the publicly tracked wins and losses for the last week. The reason why I'm showing you that is to show you that I'm not just some random person saying something. I put my entries and my exits all on Twitter, the good and the bad. So you can follow these. I put them every week. I put my entries and exits every day. So you can kind of, I don't know, just look for yourself. But anyway, the point is, blah, blah, blah. It's been going well. So first I want to talk a little bit about what interval we do when we're creating our support and resistance. The support and resistance levels are extremely important because they let us know the room that we have to operate in, which we'll get to in a later tutorial. So the first thing to know about them is that there's a reason we choose daily, not weekly, not hourly. We choose daily because it gives us the best optimal range. With the daily, it's a little more substantive than the hourly. Generally, with support and resistance and intervals, what you're going to know is you can trust something more the higher the interval. So the hourly interval candles mean more than the 10-minute candles, and the daily candles mean more than the 1 hour ones, and the weekly ones mean more than the dailies, like so on and so forth into eternity of time or whatever. So we choose the daily because it's more solid than the hourly, but also because it's more nimble than the weekly. So for example, if I go to the weekly, which I actually really like for my swings, but I'll get to that in a minute, you can see here that there's all this room between candles, but obviously there's going to be some bumps in the road, right? Like we're going to hit some things along the way. So if you're not playing extremely long term, you're going to want to know what's going on there. So that's why we choose the daily. So here we've got our daily, and this is where we're going to start doing our work. One key thing to know is that you're going to use wicks, not bodies. I know that people consider this like a controversial school of thought or divisive. There is no division to me whatsoever. You use wicks. The reason why I say you use wicks, people say that they use bodies to cut out the noise, but what we want is the noise. This is a price action method that you're simply reacting to what it is you see in front of you. You're not guessing. You're not saying like, oh, I think it might or it could. You literally just watch and react. If you guess something completely right, then yes, winner, winner, chicken dinner, you might hit some crazy 3,000% lotto or something, but you're not going to do that sustainably by just guessing what you think the market's going to do. We wait and react. We get consistently profitable. This is about making an income. It's not like a lottery trading method, all right? So we're watching and reacting, and to do that, we need to see the wicks. The reason why it's so obvious to me is because it lets you know what buyers and sellers are doing, and that's all we're watching with this method. What are buyers doing? What are sellers doing? So for example, let's pick a random wick. Let's go with this one right here. So if I'm just looking at the body, then I see that, okay, the high, it closed at 413.53. The low of day was 409. So that would be my range. But what that wick doesn't tell you is how much they hated this when it got up to whatever this level is, 414.06, closed at 413.5. So we know 414 might be a little bit of a pain in the butt, right? Because they gobbled it up. Same thing here. Look at this. You see that they really, really rejected this at 418, 417.64, 418, and it sent it all the way back down to 415. That's a huge rejection. So that's important. Because look, after that rejection, what happened to the next candle? Anyway, I'm getting too far into what we're going to be learning in the future. So for right now, all you need to know is draw lines on the wicks because they represent true buyer-seller action. You can draw on the bodies if you want to, but you're not going to succeed with this method. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. The second thing that you're going to have to do, which you're going to hate me for, is I do the 2-year daily. What am I on? Yeah, the 2-year 1 day. And then you're going to draw a line at each and every freaking wick. It'll take you like an hour. Yes, it's kind of annoying, but I'm going to tell you 2 things about this. The first is that you have to be precise. Remember when I told you that work up front means less work later? Will this take you an hour? Yes, but then guess what? All you have to do is update your SPY or your QQQ with that day's daily support and resistance to be ready for the next day. That's your only homework. You don't have to go doing a bunch of research and blah, 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 and looking up EMAs and SMAs while you're watching the VMAs and all that kind of goofy shit. All you have to do is update it daily once you've put in this hour of legwork. So it's worth it. So you're going to go back and do these for 2 years. Yes, I know, it's annoying, especially that you have to be precise. But the reason why you have to be precise is because when you're in your intraday doing scalping, this one is specifically for scalping. We'll get into like swings, longer term trades later. But what you're going to want to be doing is knowing exactly where you are, because 25 cents is a big difference when you're doing a 0 DTE on SPY. That's the difference between a 10% play and a 50% play, given when you buy it and when you enter. So it's important to be precise. I cannot stress this enough. So eventually, and you're really going to hate this, your chart is going to look something like this. Let's see, oh God. Ah, that's crazy. I promise you it's not that crazy, and I'll show you why. When you go back and do this, remember, we're eventually going to switch to the intraday to trade it. Look what happens on the intraday. It becomes much more sane. And more importantly, look at how much space this actually represents. If you're playing a 0 DTE or 1 DTE, let's say that I decide to buy at 426.88. I decide to buy at 426p. If this goes down to here, or even goes a little bit past it, and I bought the 426p expiring the next day or that day, boom, I'm already up like 20-something%, hitting 30%. I can decide to just cut it and take the profitable play. So that's number one. Number two is when you see these and you're going back, you're probably thinking, why are there some dotted lines? Why are there some thick dashed lines? That represents the other important part. Strong levels of support or resistance. So when I'm going back and doing my daily, oh God. When I'm going back and doing my daily, what I do is if wicks hit more than one place, so I'm going to clean this one up a little bit, actually. Practice what I preach. If they'll let me. All right, whatever. I'll do it later. So, oh, there we go. Clean this up a little bit. This one up a little bit. Then that, this one here. So anyway, if I'm going through and this has the red line, right? One red line. If I had another wick somewhere down the road that also was on this red line, then I would make that a dashed line. Why? Because it represents 2 points of support or resistance, 2 wicks. So that's a stronger level. Now, if I have a thick dashed line, that's because I have 3 points, right? So that would mean that there was like, like somewhere along the way over here, a wick touched it, and then another wick touched that level, and another wick touched that level. 3 or more, and I do thick lines. The reason why is because those represent serious points. So that'll help you play your bounces eventually, your rejections eventually, your breakouts eventually. But you don't need to worry about that now. All you need to worry about is if a wick, it doesn't matter if it's a top wick or a bottom wick. If a wick touches the line once, you can do a certain color, or I do it like just a solid line. 2 times, you change to something else. I do a dashed line. 3 times or more, and you change it to something else. You can do colors, you can do dash lines, you can do thin lines, thick lines, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So that shows you what the strength of the level is that you're playing. So anyway, you're going to go back, you're going to do all those, you're going to hate me for it, it'll take you like an hour. But once you've done your 2 years of support and resistance, you're like well on your way to the next steps of this, where you'll actually start, getting money and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much, yes, I got it done in 10 minutes like I wanted. That's pretty much the short and sweet of this. So I guess your homework, if there was homework, is to go back, go through the 2 years, make a line at the wick at the top, line at the wick at the bottom. If you see a line, if you see a wick touch a wick that already has a solid line, change that to dashed. If you see another one do it, change that dashed to a thick one, or use different colors. Don't really care. So we're going to be doing this series in the yeet.substack.com. I usually try to be pretty good about getting the DMs if you have questions on this, but only this. We're not skipping ahead in class. All right, cool. Thanks for watching.